All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to deconstruct a story that is just a masterclass in building that slow, creeping dread. This isn't about cheap jump scares. Nope. This is all about the terrifying power of rules, of being totally alone and watching reality just fall apart. We're going to dig into how it does this so well. So every great horror story has to have a hook, right? And this one starts with something we can all understand. A job offer that just seems a little too perfect. Our main character is a security guard, probably used to mind-numbingly boring shifts. And then bam, this gig pops up. Night shift at a mall, and the pay is fantastic. It's the kind of thing you'd have to be crazy to turn down.
And right there, that's the first little alarm bell that goes off in your head, isn't it? A dream job? You know there has to be a catch. It feels way too good to be true. And we, the audience, we sense that something is off way before our hero does. So what's the real price for a paycheck this good?
Okay, so this whole setup is basically the classic call to adventure. But because this is a horror story, that call is more like a warning siren that you can just barely hear in the distance. And the story starts dropping these little breadcrumbs, these subtle but really unsettling red flags. Now, what's so clever here is that any one of these things by itself, you could totally brush it off. A rushed interview? Hey, they're probably desperate for staff. Distracted manager? Maybe he's just having a bad day. But when you stack them all up, you start to see a really disturbing picture. And that last one, that vague warning about the escalators in the play area, that's the real kicker. It's just specific enough to be super creepy, but way too vague to be helpful. And this is the moment everything changes. The story goes from just a creepy job to full-blown supernatural horror. Out of nowhere, this mysterious janitor shows up, and he introduces the core mechanic of the entire story, a list of rules. And let me tell you, these are not your standard company policies. So this whole list of rules thing, it's a classic horror move for a reason, and man, is it effective. It works on two levels. First, it spells out the dangers for the character and for us, which builds this incredible suspense. And second, it gives you this false sense of control. You think, okay, just follow the rules and everything will be fine. But you know deep down, it's never going to be that simple, is it? And I mean, just look at these rules. They aren't about locking doors or making sure the fire exits are clear. They're about managing a place that doesn't play by the normal rules of physics. Don't look at the mannequins. Don't watch the cameras too much. This tells you immediately that the threat here is something completely beyond our understanding. So the story gives us the rules, and then it wastes no time showing us exactly what happens when you break them. Our guy, being a natural skeptic, starts his patrol and, well, he almost immediately starts pushing those boundaries. And the story is just brutal with this. It shows you, boom, here's the rule, here's what happens when you break it. It's direct cause and effect. Never look directly at the mannequins. He looks, and the consequence is instant and absolutely terrifying. One of them starts following him. It's proving right from the get-go that these rules are deadly serious. But here's the truly terrifying part. He only finds these other rules on the crumpled up list after he's already made some huge mistakes. Can you imagine that panic? It puts him and us in this constant state of playing catch-up. He's trying to learn the rules of the game while the game is already trying to kill him. And that last one, if time goes backward, what do you even do with that? Okay, so at this point, we're moving way beyond just spooky encounters. The night starts to become this systematic dismantling of everything our hero thinks is real. The actual laws of nature are being twisted and broken inside this mall. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's insane. He starts his patrol at midnight, has these horrifying experiences, and then he looks at his watch and it says 11:30 p.m. Time has literally gone backward. That's the moment you realize this isn't just about some monster lurking in the shadows. The very fabric of reality in this place is hostile. So after he hears an escalator running by itself, he remembers the manager's warning. This time, he follows the rules. He doesn't investigate, he checks the cameras. And this is what he sees. This freakishly tall thing with these long, spindly limbs moving in this jerky, unnatural way. And this is the part that gives me chills, it turns its head and looks directly into the camera, directly at him. This is the story showing us the visceral, visual horror that the rules are trying to protect him from. All right, so this brings us to the climax. Our guy has been through the ringer. His skepticism is completely gone. The last few hours of his shift are now just a series of brutal, direct tests. The question is, can he use what he's learned to actually survive until 6 a.m.? And as you can see, he's learning. He finally gets it. At 4 in the morning, there's a knock at the door. But Rule 8 is crystal clear. Do not open it. He listens. A bit later, he hears a woman crying. A classic lure. But Rule 9 says, don't investigate. He's not a skeptic anymore. He's a survivor, and he knows his life depends on following this bizarre instruction manual. And this is his reward for obeying. The thing outside starts mimicking the janitor's voice, trying to trick him into feeling safe. But because he sticks to the rules and checks the camera, he sees the truth. The hallway is empty. And then, that same monstrous figure appears on screen, gives this absolutely horrifying grin, and just dissolves. It's the ultimate confirmation. The rules are the only thing keeping him alive. And then relief. The clock hits 6:01 a.m. The night is over. He hears a normal voice, the manager's voice, on the other side of the door. You can just feel all that tension start to melt away. The sun is coming up. The nightmare is finally over. Or is it?
But you know, a story this good isn't going to let you off the hook that easily. The best horror tales always save one last, chilling little detail that just reframes everything you thought you knew. He survived, sure, but he has one last question.
He just needs to make sense of it, you know? He needs one logical anchor from this night of absolute insanity. So he asks the manager about the janitor, the one person who seemed to be on his side, the one who gave him the key to his own survival. And there it is, the knockout punch. The manager just looks at him and says, "What janitor? We don't have a night janitor. You're the only one here at night." That simple sentence just shatters whatever was left of his reality. The janitor wasn't real.
And that's what makes this story so absolutely brilliant. It doesn't end with an answer. It ends with a question that's 1,000 times more terrifying. If there was no janitor, then who or what wrote that list of rules? What other entity was in that mall with him, and was it trying to help him, or was it just playing a game? That's the kind of unresolved horror that really truly sticks with you.